like to begin the
Mr.
Environmental
Max.
Control Committee meeting for November 18th, 2025 at 7 o'clock. Present are committee members Madden, Mari, and Scarl. Council President Broussard, Councilwoman Gilchrist and Heenan, and Councilman Shimsky. Present from the administration are the Assistant Law Director, HR Director, Economic Development Director, Service and Recreation, as well as guests. And on the agenda is Resolution 2025-104, which is a resolution authorizing the city engineer to advertise for bids for the award of a contract to provide services to install a sanitary manhole with partial flume measuring device, excuse me, along Mackenzie Road as detailed in the specifications on file in the Division of Engineering, and authorizing the mayor following approval of the Board of Control to contract for the same with the lowest and best bidder. And I'm guessing Mr. Blum is here to speak to us and enlighten us.
Thank you, Councilman. So we'd like to start making progress towards metering the flow that comes in from Olmsted Township. We currently meter the flow that comes in from Fairview Park. For Olmsted Township, we only estimate that, and we strongly feel that when it rains, that estimate is underestimating the amount of flow that comes into North Olmsted. So this is the first step towards possibly metering that flow, and when we engage in a new contract, we'd like to have all these locations metered so that we can go the same route that we do with Fairview Park, which is charging them for the actual flow that comes into the North Olmsted sanitary sewer system.
Just had a few basic questions. So where on Mackenzie is this physically?
This is just north of the border between Olmsted Township and North Olmsted.
And so, I'm reading you right, there is no current monitoring going on, it's just an estimate.
Correct. Each of the 9 entry points, well 10 now, entry points into North Olmsted are estimated flow values.
So are you saying there's 9 or 10 from?
There's 9, now we have an extra one coming in from the new development that's just south of the Renaissance. That one is metered because there's a pump station there, however.
And the approximate costs we're looking at?
Looking at just a little north of 200,000 as the engineer's estimate.
That's mine. Any questions? Any other questions?
Well, if your committee has.
I do. Thank you. Will those other 9 entry points at some point need the same equipment as well?
We intend to monitor them all together. Some of them can be monitored with equipment that we have. The manhole doesn't surcharge. In other words, it doesn't get above the volume of the pipe and start building up inside the manhole. This one does surcharge, so we're choosing to go with a partial flume there. Some of the other manholes that don't have a lot of flow, we can put one of our current monitoring devices called a flow dart in there. It sends an ultrasonic wave down the sewer pipe, and then that bounces back to give us velocity. And then we can measure the depth of the sewer, and that can give us an estimated flow volume. So for some of the areas out to the west, we can go with this more simpler monitoring device. For this one, it's a little bit more complex. We would also be looking to do this at the Elizabeth Crestwood entry point where there is surcharging, putting in a partial flume.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So when we, a few years ago, well, actually more than a few, we're contemplating and we agreed to, they were having a new housing development in the township and we gave them the extra access. Is that now unlimited to anything that they build within a certain area, or do we have to, like, what's our decision-making ability, or none, to say, no, sorry, we're not taking any more developments from you? Because the capacity was measured at that time.
So that's a better question suited to the engineer. For each housing development that goes in, whether it's in North Olmsted or in Olmsted Township, the engineers take a look at existing sewer capacity and determine whether or not that can take on additional housing. So that is an engineering value that's determined. I can tell you that's based on dry weather flow, not wet weather flow. And wet weather flow is usually what gives us and them problems. So I know that doesn't answer your question completely. I'm just trying to give you as much information as I can. The engineers make that determination on whether the sewer shed can accept additional flow.
Probably 50 more questions, but keep going. That's okay.
Mr. Lippert?
So do we have an expected, I guess you could say undercharging of what we think we are undercharging? 200,000 to get an accurate measurement here, like what kind of money are we thinking that we're short on an annual basis?
What we know for certain is that there is an estimated value that they're charged for, and then an estimated maximum flow that they're allowed to send us. From doing flow monitoring in the past, we know that they exceed that maximum value. There is no way to shut off the sewer system or tell them they can't send us more than the maximum. We take in whatever they give us. But based on that premise that we know they're sending us more flow during the wet weather period and they're exceeding that maximum, we feel that that also is disadvantaging us for the total flow coming in during wet weather or dry weather, because it's an average.
So we don't, I mean, like monetarily, we don't, like,
Don't have the numbers to quantitate that.
can we, Mr. Chair, can we find out what's the agreement right now of how much they're sending annual? Maybe that's a question for Carrie, but like, what are we getting for our contract currently?
Yeah, the contract does specify a dollar amount and the estimated for each of the entry points.
Okay,
So that should be easy to determine.
could that maybe just be sent out before the vote? I don't-
Now, taking individual flow monitoring, now we put the flow monitoring in specifically trying to target wet weather. So we're putting these flow monitoring devices out there because we want to see the systems under stress. We have to put them in for longer periods of time and have more accurate measurements, which is part of the reason for going after the partial flume, to really measure the amount that they're sending to us.
I just wanna know what our annual, like what our fees are for the 10 points, or what the rate is per point. And that can just be in an email. Thanks.
Yes.
If you're okay with that, Mr. Chair, I mean,
Yeah.
okay.
Mr. Bum, so this is just monitoring sanitary flow.
Correct, not storms, just sanitary.
Alright. Seeing no other questions or comments, I'd like to favorably recommend to all council resolution 2025-104 and ask for a second.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Murray.